July 9th, 2023. Before we get started, two things to keep in mind. First, on next week, let's say, well, this week, let's call it, on Wednesday, right? That's Wednesday, the 12th. I will have a video out on the North Node and, well, the nodes changing signs, going into Aries and Libra. And so that will be a special video that you would want to watch. I'll do an overview, and I'll also give some hints for each sign. So you should subscribe, and this way you can get notice when that comes out. I say that only for you. I mean, I have a mild ego investment in my social media presence, but I don't get any financial compensation or anything like that from this. So it's only so you don't miss it, really. I'm not pushing stuff over here. You know what I'm saying? The other thing is I wanted to talk a little bit about the aspects and the way things are working and so on. And I sort of talk about this once in a while, but I want to be a little explicit about it. The astrological aspects, they build over time, and they kind of reach a peak at a certain day, and then they kind of trail off. It's like any kind of event, right? I mean, it could be, you're giving a party on Friday night, right? And so you start thinking about it during the course of the week. You have to go shopping and get some stuff. You start thinking about, stop up at the store and buy something for people to drink and make sure the invitations are there, maybe consider the weather and all that. And then we hit Friday, and it's the day of the party. And then, Saturday, Sunday, you still, well, that was a nice time. You think back on it, and maybe you have some leftovers and stuff like that that you can kind of keep the feel going for a little while until it fades away. Well, that's just the way it is with astrological aspects. They build over the course of time, they peak, and then they trail off. They usually trail off much quicker than they build. And the time frame for this varies. So if we're looking at aspects between the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they could build over the course of weeks. Eclipses build over the course of weeks. And, the sun, Mercury, they build over the course of a couple of days. The moon, if you want to get to that level, which we don't usually in these forecasts, the moon usually builds over the course of hours. Builds up a little bit slower till the peak, and then trails off. So when we talk about something happening on a given day, well, think the day before, you start to get into the vibe of it, and so on, or a couple of days before sometimes. Just want to make that clear. That's generally the case. This week, however, we have some exceptions to that rule, so we'll get right into that. Okay, we start off with this. We start off with communication as the theme of the early part of this week. Now, the planet Mercury is going to be busy in this period of time, and we have some pretty soft aspects. We have Mercury is trying to Neptune on Sunday. That's a nice aspect. It should help to ease communication. But as Mercury gets towards the end of Cancer, things kind of shift a little bit because he starts to approach Pluto, right? And so this is a dominant kind of feel. Mercury opposite Pluto in Capricorn. Mercury opposite Pluto is always a good keyword, is speaking truth to power. At 29 degrees of Cancer, where Mercury really picks up on that protective, sort of like, speaking for myself, but also for my kin, for my clan, for my group kind of energy. Very strong. Everything is very strong at the last degree of a sign. And then there's Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Now, this is, standing the power structures, however wobbly they may be. Pluto is speaking for the power structures. And so this opposition, which is exact on Monday, the 10th, should be quite a firecracker. It is definitely a day to get things said in your life. It is definitely a day when we'll see things said in the collective. Lots of, I would say, direct, frank kinds of communication. But wait, there's more. Also on Monday, the 10th, we have Mars changing signs out of Leo and moving into Virgo. At the same time, that Pallas Athene, the truth teller, strategist asteroid leaves Leo and meets with Mars at the very first degree of Virgo. Again, just as Mercury and Pluto at the last degree of Cancer, Capricorn are extra strong, so Mars and Pallas at the very first degree of Virgo is extra strong. We have this very, very powerful energy. And actually, Mars, the warrior, with Pallas Athene, the truth teller, goddess of wisdom asteroid, we're really looking over here at a very powerful, very similar kind of powerful communication. Right? This is we're gonna tell you what we think, and we're gonna act on it. Pallas Athene, goddess of wisdom, but she carries a spear. Athena, always a strategist, sort of became the goddess of wisdom by being a military strategist. And I think, in Virgo, the very particular energies of Virgo, what we get here is a very, we're going to tell you what, and yes, strategy, planning, strategizing. So Monday is actually going to be a day, and we can say right there, Monday, maybe late Sunday night. Monday is the day when things are going to be said, and we're going to get this sort of powerful message across. Does it linger? Not so much, because Mercury then leaves Cancer and moves into Leo on late Monday evening. And, well, we don't really get the buildup that we would get with the Mars Pallas aspect, because they're both in Leo before they meet in Virgo. Now, with both of the two of them, that's good English. With both of those planet asteroids being at the very last degree of Leo, we might get some strong personal, I'm going to tell you what I think and feel about this from my perspective kind of thing on Sunday and earliest Monday. Come to think of it, once Mercury goes into Leo, then we may get a little bit more of that too. So there's this kind of, there's this little bit of ego stuff that gets mixed up into the potion there. Sunday, Monday, and let's throw in Tuesday. We're looking at really direct, candid conversations, collective level and our personal lives. You got a message to get across. This is probably the time to do it. And if somebody has a message to get across to you, you're probably going to hear about it. Now, going on to Tuesday, we have an aspect that has been building, and we would be feeling this for some time, and that is Juno, partnership asteroid Juno, is going to be sextile to Jupiter. Juno, as the partnership asteroid, is very much about commitments in relationship, and Jupiter, well, Jupiter is Juno's husband in mythology, but not so committed to the monogamous thing. So we have these sort of different energies, and yet they're energies that go together. So what we're looking at is perhaps with this sextile aspect, and Juno is in Cancer, where she's really sort of, she's pulling for the more traditional kind of, family relationship model. Sextile to Jupiter in Taurus, we're looking at, let's say, the next stage of something that may have begun in January. So if you had relationship stuff, if you had a relationship that began in January, if you took another step in a relationship, or perhaps if you took a step back in January, then we might be getting the next installment here. It's a sextile, it's a soft sextile, but it's the next step in something that began in January. Now, if nothing began in January, then you're not getting the next step of anything, so don't worry about it. But it should generally be a good aspect for a relationship at the beginning part of the week. If you don't say anything on Monday that's going to piss your significant other off too much, then you have the chance to maybe make things go a little bit more smoothly on Tuesday. So, and beyond, because that's the day that the aspect peaks. It's a soft sextile. Juno, Jupiter have about a 5-year cycle with each other, although it stretches out between 5 and 7 years, because Juno's orbit is very eccentric. And so we're getting, it's an early signal about this cycle. We'll see. We'll see. It's about the biggest doings because, every 10 days, every 7 to 10 days in July, we have something exciting. In this case, it's Monday. It's those it's those communication aspects with Mercury and Pluto and Mars and Pallas Athene. That's the center of the action for this week. And as we go along, we have some very harmonious energies. We have the sun making nice aspects. We have Mercury making nice aspects. And so, generally speaking, the rest of the week is kind of, waning moon into the new moon. The new moon is on the 17th. And before we get there, the energy kind of pulls down just a little bit. So that's your week. That's the week to think about before it happens or during, while it's happening. You can go to armanddiaz.com and you can get the monthly newsletter. So you can sign up for the monthly newsletter. You sort of scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see the sign up button there. And then you can read things. I just do a monthly newsletter, and you should probably just be watching the weekly forecast. That's where the juicy stuff comes in. And again, I'll see you on Wednesday for the special on the nodes, and the following Wednesday for a special on Venus retrograde. And that's another thing to keep in mind while we're here. Those of you that have, as I was wrapping things up, I'm sure a lot of people said, "Oh, well, that's it," and they went on to the next one. But if you're still around, do remember that Venus is in the shadow of her retrograde, getting ready to station retrograde on the 22nd. And so there's a bit of a drag on new relationships, a bit of a drag on socializing, and it's a very poor time to have things assessed and appraised. It's a very poor time to indulge in extra luxury items and things like that. You want to start getting yourself into a little bit more of the bare bones, appreciate what you have mode, rather than going out and getting someone new to stimulate the situation. Enjoy what you got for the time being. Eventually, Venus will go direct and we can start dealing with it. Oh, long about October, maybe just September. Anyways, we'll hash that out in a little while.